All right, good morning, everyone, and welcome. I hope you are having a great day. I have some unfortunate news to report. My grandmother passed away yesterday, and I have to cut out a little short today because my mom is going to Kriya in about an hour. I didn't want to cancel the class because this is important to me. I hope it's important to you as well. But we're talking about happiness, and it's interesting because we use words that we don't really clarify enough. Happiness is not an emotion. Happiness is not pleasure. Happiness is not about having fun. What we described at our last conversation was that happiness was the awareness of knowing that I'm doing exactly what I'm meant to be doing. And therefore, like even today, I'm sad. We have a loss in the family, a woman who's very much a matriarch, a powerhouse of a human being. She's not here. I'm saddened by that, but I'm also I don't feel happy, but I feel like I know I'm doing everything I should be doing at this moment in time. And therefore, while I am saddened by what's going on, I'm not depressed or broken by it, because all I can do is respond to the circumstances that I'm in. I think that this is a great kind of segue into this conversation. We said that ultimately that happiness means that you are moving towards a meaningful destination, that you are along the correct path, you are overcoming some kind of resistance, and last but not least, certainly just as important, is that you are making progress. And if you don't have those things, those four components there, what you think you're chasing might not be happiness. Now, ultimately, what I'm saying, if you've been paying close attention, is that happiness is tied into spirituality. That you can have pleasure from things that are physical. And again, Judaism wants you to have all of the pleasure in the world, but it wants you to recognize that that's not the goal. That is not the pursuit of happiness is not the pursuit of pleasure. The pursuit of happiness is the pursuit of personal development. It's the idea of achieving some level of higher spiritual connectivity with the divine. So the way in which we do this as Jews is that we build relationships. Right? So when we think of a mitzvah isn't just the commandment. Judaism is not much of a religion as it is a relationship. And it's only through the mitzvah observance that a man can build a deep, enduring, meaningful relationship with God. The mitzvah is the very process of how we forge a bond with God. And it's contained in the very word, the mitzvah itself, commandment. Because the word commandment is closely related to the word tzavta, which means a connection or a binding. And the Ramchal, he says as follows. The Ramchal, Rav Moshe Chaim Luzzatto, says that man was created for the sole purpose of deriving pleasure from closeness to God and enjoying the splendor of his presence. Because that is the truest delight. That is the truest pleasure that a person can achieve. Right? So the setting for this pleasure can only be fully actualized in the next world, meaning as much pleasure as God wants to give you, you can't even fully begin to understand how much pleasure there is, because there's nothing material that equates to the level of a spiritual pleasure you can actually receive. Therefore, true perfection is only that of being close to God. Now, the optics sound so difficult for us to swallow. I hear it, we know it, but really? Is that true, that perfection and happiness is only tied into God? I think it is. You see, in order for an individual to reach perfection, right, he has to earn it through the fruit of his labor. That means that he has to do everything he can to attempt to cleave to God through the action. So let's explain what that means. So ultimately, happiness has to do with spiritual growth and development. Now, do animals worry about their happiness? Do cats, dogs, today's a really bad day, I'm feeling so depressed, it's raining out, this happened. They don't live in that realm. What makes humans, what makes a human experience is the fact that we have choice. The fact that we have obstacles that we could overcome. The fact that we are put into scenarios that are unique to us, and our response is not like an animal. An animal sees a nice bowl of, steak with a bone on it, and he's gonna chomp it, eat it, it's done. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's eating everything, nothing's getting in his way. Okay, he's doing everything he can to go ahead and have enjoyment from the food that is being put out. But a human being is a little different. A human being has the power of pausing, has the power of reflecting. The human being has the power of thinking deeply. It could even choose not to eat whatever's in front of them, right? That choice is what makes us human. Animals don't have that. Animals don't have that ability of pulling back and refraining, restricting from the things that they have. So therefore, like this, well, what makes the human experience a human experience? What makes happiness happiness? It has to do with your development your ability to develop a relation with God the Almighty. Okay? Well, who says that's true? Like, why can't I just enjoy being happy eating my hamburger? Why can't I just enjoy being happy eating my sushi rolls or whatever my skiing, whatever it is that you do? And I think that the answer to that is like this. If happiness is something that is a subjective goal that you're trying to reach, you'll always be happy. Meaning, if you set your own standard, you're creating what you think is happiness. But unfortunately, when we do this for ourselves, we're never happy. I'll give you an example. Hold on a second, I'm just muting everybody. If you have you wake up today and you say, okay, today I'm gonna have a really good day. Today I'm gonna set my own goals. I do these things, I'll be happy, right? I gotta go to the bank. I gotta buy some bread. I gotta go on a jog, and so on and so forth, right? Those are all good things to do, and that's not bad, but that's not gonna bring you meaning, right? Meaning is what we're looking for in our lives. Meaning is developed through non-tangible things. Yes, those things will help satiate you. Achieving your goals are a good thing. Having a job, paying your bills, caring for your family, all very good things. But there's a way of elevating all those things and making it super meaningful. So I can go ahead and see my spouse, my children, as people I need to take care of. And I could use the same emotion, by the way, for taking care of them. I would take care of anybody else, right? I'll take care of my dog. I take care of my neighbor. I take care of my wife, my kids. It's all the same thing. But that's not the goal of being a dad, right? There's different goals. There's a goal of being a husband to a wife. And the goal there is achieving unity. It's recognizing that her wants, her needs are your own. That is achieved through commitment. Being a father is very different than having a relationship with a spouse, right? And over there, the goal isn't just giving your kids what they need. It's being a role model. It's fighting to make sure that they have the ability to overcome their challenges. It's encouraging them. It's giving them the ability to dream, giving them the ability of trying new things and not being afraid. It's giving them courage, giving them strength. It's being support. It's complicated. It's not just being there. And if we and I'm saying this, it's not easy to explain, because if we just leave happiness to status quo, just being where we are, without pushing beyond the status quo, we're never finding happiness. You see, we could be content with the things that we have, but you're not going to find meaning. You're not going to find true happiness. This is why Judaism says like this. Okay, there's a God. We have to buy into this idea of God, otherwise we can't have this conversation. And he creates a universe which is perfect. Well, it's not perfect. I have so many problems. People die, people get sick. And that's okay, because we believe that God creates the most imperfect, perfect world for us. The challenge is there for us to overcome. Just like as a father, I create challenges for my kids. They got to overcome me all the time. And I make it difficult for them as much as I can. They get annoyed at it, but they come back and they appreciate it because they understand what I'm trying to do for them. And I believe that most of us as adults now understand that the pain, the challenge we go through in life is uniquely ours to achieve some level of growth. Now, if it's growth that we're looking for, how does all growth begin? It begins through overcoming a struggle. It begins through working outside of the status quo. The mitzvot themselves are a system that consistently force you to look outside of the self. So for example, I am paying my cab driver money because he just dropped me off at my house, right? That's one way of doing it. I'm doing status quo. But there's a whole other level of being mindful that I am someone who wants to pay someone their wages on time. And I want to pay this guy, and I'm having in my intention right now is to ensure this guy is being cared for and I'm paying him on time, because that's the mitzvah. This is my way of being godly, of meting out justice, paying things on time. I want to be the person that is not just saying thank you so much for the cup of coffee, but I also want to be the guy that is spending a moment and making a blessing and just feeling a sense of gratitude or appreciating that there's a much bigger universe out there and that I'm a insignificant nothing that doesn't deserve anything. No, I'm just joking. I deserve a little bit, but I just feel a sense of gratitude for this fact that I have coffee. Can you imagine a world without coffee? It's a horrible world. It's a horrible existence. I mean, coffee is like, or cocoa for that matter. You know that I could prove that Abraham, our patriarch, did not have chocolate because chocolate didn't come to the world until the 17th century from South America. So cocoa became a reality in the world in the 17th century by the wealthy elite. I appreciate cocoa. I appreciate chocolate, and therefore, I don't want to be the guy that just has it, finishes it, eats it, and moves on. I want to be the guy that's able to appreciate those things. Why? Because I see the value in those things. Those are the things that help to connect to the things that I have into something beyond the physical, into something that is called the eternal. So a convert once wrote that he was a convert to Judaism. He said that being Jewish has given them happiness, but not the physical, momentary kind that comes with money and sports cars, which passes very swiftly and leaving you feeling very empty. Happiness that comes from living a Jewish life has to do with the serenity of the soul. It has to do with the satisfaction at the deepest level. That is what we're looking for. Maimonides says that happiness that comes from performing mitzvot and the love of God, the God who commanded us to do those mitzvot, are the greatest forms of service to God. And anyone who holds himself back from feeling this happiness over divine service could be held accountable, and he quotes a verse and so on and so forth, meaning the only real greatness and honor is that of being happy in the service of God. Why? Because we believe that God is the ultimate expression of truth. Oseh emet mipnei shehu emet. We believe that we do what is true because it is true. The reward for a mitzvah, we say schar mitzvah mitzvah. That's a Mishnah Perkei Avot. Why is that? It's a weird thing. We say you do a mitzvah for something. You say tiskula mitzvot. I just drove you. I went out of the way, and what I say to you is tiskula mitzvot. May you be given more opportunities to drive out of your way. Who says that? You gave tzedakah. You just dropped $1,000 on charity. You tiskula mitzvot. You should be blessed to give more. More. I just gave away everything I have. What are you doing? Right? And it's this idea that we are in service of each other, right? And instead of creating a society, which unfortunately the government that we're in is so complicated, but if we lived and built a world where we were all in service of each other and not here to take, and recognize that there's higher forms of happiness, which is being a giver, which is being someone who is aware of the needs and the wants of others, that is how we find that is how we express the greatest aspects of being human. That's how we exercise being more human than animal. Because if it's just instinctual, if it's just doing what comes natural to me, then I don't care. You could be a good guy that's doing kindness, but animals can do kindness too. There's nothing unique about that. That's just their instinct. But what makes us special, what makes us different than any other creature in the world, is I could use my mind to recognize that I'm here right now, but I have the ability of getting here. That gap over there is the greatest expression of humanity. And it's in that gap right there that we are able to find the highest levels of happiness. I apologize for ending a little early today. I will just pick up, God willing, next week from here. Lisa Bat, her mother's name was Tzivya, and her father's name was Shmaya. Lisa Bat Shmaya. She Tenechenu Legan Edem, and we should only know of smachot from one another. Thank you so much for listening. Bezrat Hashem. We'll see you all next week. Have a great day. Have a great week.